Those are two sections of a board of catalogs. I've already resawn the pieces for book matching. You can see that's going to be really something. However, as you can also see, that everything was square and flush and nice whenever when I resawed the board, and there was apparently some tension in the board. And you can see too, because my surface here is nice and flat. Where is it? Well, that one's not terrible actually. One of these is in bad shape, yeah. So I need to flatten these again because I need to, in my own way, since I don't have a jointer, I need to joint this because these sections need to be glued up. I'm not going to show the whole planing process. It's going to take forever. So I'm going to wrap that up, and then I'll be right back and show you what I'm going to set up to joint those book matched edges. Well, I sure wish that process went as fast for me as it did for you watching this. Anyway, the boards are flat now, which is good. I didn't lose too much material. I do want to take a look at what I've actually got left though. My ruler's inside. So about 3/4 of an inch, that's plenty. Maybe a little bit less, it's still enough. Now I need to joint right through there. We'll lose very little material that way, but that's okay. I've got plenty of girth this direction, which will go toward the thickness of the drum. The idea is that that book matched sap line will go around the center of the outside of the drum shell. It's really going to be something. I have to admit, this whole process makes me a little bit nervous. As soon as my glue gun warms up, I'm going to tack down the guide. I'm also going to tack down a piece of wood, just lightly, just to hold it in place. I don't have to take off very much, but I need to take off enough that it is square and flat. Fingers crossed. That might have been a fatal mistake. I didn't glue down that frickin' board. Crap. That's not a problem, because that's going to get trimmed down on the outside anyway of the drum. That is a problem. It's way too deep. Dang it. I forgot to turn the camera back on out of my frustration, but I think that's just right now. Thank goodness. Gosh. What a stress bomb. pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Now I need to run it through the table saw because I need each of these slats to be the exact same width, just to make sure that when I glue up the staves, after I cut the staves, that this center line remains consistent around the entire drum, since I'm working with two sections. That's the kind of blade I have been using on my table saw. This is the blade I'm going to use on my table saw for this one. What I need is the narrower kerf, and this is why. So this drum is going to try and keep this line as continuous as possible around the circumference of the drum shell. The wider the kerf, the more of a difference there will be with each individual stave. Also, to ensure that I have the least amount of, I guess, waste, loss of mass around the circumference of the drum when I shape it, this is going to be a 20 stave instead of my typical 10 or 12 stave drum. Of course, that will mean there are more individual sections cut off, but I won't be cutting deeply into each one of those sections, or not as deeply on each corner where each stave meets the next stave. So hopefully that gives us the best chance to keep as continuous a line as possible, and I think it'll work. That I do, I learn a great deal. Tonight, I've learned that extraordinarily hard woods are extraordinarily difficult to work with. I think we're going to be okay. As long as my angles are good, the bevels, I think we're about ready. So I was worried that the kerf of the blade would cause a substantial deviation. That's not bad at all. In fact, that's pretty darn consistent. Alright, let's do a test fit. See how my bevels are. Well, obviously we have some problems here. So this drum is going to be the death of me. Everything about this has been difficult. just being difficult wouldn't be a problem, except this is a very difficult piece of wood to find. It's very expensive as far as wood is concerned. The client picked the board out himself and had it shipped to me. If I screw this up, I'm going to be out a lot of money because I'm going to have to replace it, and he's going to have to be happy about it. Too bad I'm not an expert, right? Okay, so I'm about to start milling the outside of the shell, the Cadillac shell. I've got it glued up, but yesterday I started editing the video you're watching right now, and the explanation I have to go right here was terrible. So let me just say, I'm going to just keep it really simple. I waited about a month and a half, almost 2 months, between cutting the staves, doing that test fit that was a disaster, and gluing it up. I had to fix the staves, and there was a big process which you'll see right now, where I had to make a new sled and very carefully set the angles. That jig right there that I showed you in the shop update a couple of videos ago, that was originally designed or intended to joint the faces of the bevels perfectly, but I wasn't convinced that they were going to work very well. I didn't seem to have the accuracy that I needed. It was getting more complicated than I wanted. I figured there must be a better solution. And indeed, the jig you're going to see in this next segment is the simplest way to take care of it, and it worked out great. So I'll show you that right now. So a couple of these staves have been basically perfect. I found the best way to do it because it's hard. So I put a little Sharpie there to see if it would help me see what I'm doing. It didn't do much good. So what I figured out is if I get my fingers under there, I can just feel, just barely, show you. So I can sort of slide it and then just feel the tiniest hair's worth of overhang, and then I clamp it down and off I go. A couple of the staves have been essentially perfect. I just barely get over that edge and I get a nice clean cut right along the top. It's nice and perfect. There have been like 2 that have been like way off, maybe a 30, way off. I had to take off probably a 32nd, maybe even up to, no, not a 16th, probably about a 32nd of material. So I'm pretty confident that the way this is going to turn out, I'm going to have enough material to keep my 14-inch diameter. So that is really, really good. I was scared to death. Just got 3 pieces left. I think I'm in good shape. So here we go, finish them off. cinched up all the way yet, but that looks worlds better. In fact, that looks the way it's supposed to look. Much, much better. I can live with that. Oh, thank goodness.